that was a conversation we had just before we, got into this point in time. And that's a beautiful piece of music by Ed Sheeran. Also leading us into our next 30 minutes of talk on Power Solutions. I'm not alone. My co-host and boss is right here on the side.
You're the
Wiebe.
boss. You're the boss, man, not me.
We know who the boss is. We both know who the boss is, actually. How's the weekend, by the way?
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
You're an Arsenal fan?
Yeah, but I gave up the Premier League for Lent. So I didn't watch any games or anything. So I don't even, I guess I know the result, but I don't, haven't seen it or anything.
Why did they give up? Why?
Well, you got to
Because you haven't won anything?
No, you got to give up something that's meaningful to you, right? So
Oh my.
yeah.
Well, I understand it was an anticlimax yesterday, Chelsea, Man U. I don't know, but that's another conversation for another day. I mean, I expected better football.
Yeah.
It didn't look like they're ready to win. But
I was more concerned that Plateau United had a draw also, 0-0, boring.
Yeah, I mean, boring games like that. No goals, come on.
No goals, yeah.
Well, we have other things to catch up with, and one of them is the very important one that has to do with every Nigerian, and that's the power problem in this country, no doubt. We talk about it. You must have heard, NEPA, no bring light to, NEPA, no bring light to. And that's why every Monday we try to talk about the solutions, and we call it Power Solutions, straightforward. So, listener, if you're joining us for the first time, you are welcome to another episode of Power Solutions. Wiebe might just want to give us a tip of the iceberg of what Power Solutions is all about for someone who's joining for the first time.
Yeah, so, I think it's something every Nigerian feels every day is the shortage of power, the power deficit we have in Nigeria. And so we often have conversations about, the problems, the this, the that, how, and what we're trying to focus on is the people out there making it better and trying to solve it. Not the problem itself, but the people trying to solve it. So today we have a great guest, and let me introduce him with this. If you remember last week, our guest from India, from Husk Power, Manoj, talked about how Nigeria is actually ahead of the game globally on regulation.
That's right.
Minigrid regulation, all sorts of, off-grid regulations and all that. And it was a bit of a surprise because we would have thought...
We were shocked, like, really?
Because people would think, India should be ahead and all that. But in this case, he said, no, Nigeria's ahead. And Suleiman is actually part of the team that's making that happen. So our guest today is Suleiman Babamanu, who's from the Rural Electrification Agency, which is the government agency that my organization, All On, works with very closely. And every week they're out there commissioning, universities that now are on solar power, mini grids all over the country. I don't even know where he is. He's probably in one corner of Nigeria, but he's particularly overseeing something called the Solar Naija program, which we'll learn about today. The most ambitious solar program anywhere in the world, actually, that I've ever heard of. And so, Suleiman, thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Nigerians, and thank you very much, Wiebe, for having me here. I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
So, Suleiman, where are you today? Because I know I can't keep up with you guys. I just follow social media, and you're always in one corner or the other. Are you in Abuja?
We're in Abuja.
You're in Abuja. Okay, and by the way, Suleiman is born in Lagos. So all the Lagosians, this is a Lagos-born gentleman sitting in Abuja now, but Lagos is his place of birth. So, Suleiman, give us a little bit of your own background before you came to the REA to run this massive, very important program.
All right, thank you very much. Again, good morning. My name is Suleiman Babamanu. I am the technical project lead for the 5 million connections program, that is the Solar Power Naija, which is aiming to provide 25 million Nigerians with affordable and efficient power supply in the rural communities of Nigeria. I have a master's degree in renewable energy and renewable energy enterprise and management from Newcastle University. So right after my master's, I joined a government agency called NASENI, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. Incidentally, NASENI had established a solar assembly / manufacturing plant here in Abuja with a capacity of 7 megawatts. And it was almost a good fit for me coming out from Masters in Renewable Energy. So it was an exciting opportunity for me to, on ground practice what I've learned, and even beyond that, especially on the manufacturing side. So I rose to the head of research and development in NASENI Solar Energy Limited, where we look at innovations, product design, projects around energy audits, installations and energy efficiency, and then programs around capacity building in schools, climate change programs, and so on. So it was really an exciting from 2013 to 2017. I was part of the Naseni solar energy team, but right after that, I wanted to have something more challenging, something bigger. Life is not meant to be stagnant, and I wanted to move. And then I met one of the greatest people in the sector, Wiebe, you would agree, Damilola Ogumbi, who was the head of the REA at that time. And when the Nigeria Electrification project was starting, so it was really that type of ambitious project that I wanted to be part of, and it was a no-brainer. And immediately the opportunity came. I came in and I took it as a senior technical project manager. And then going ahead to lead programs like the Energizing Economies Initiative, that has powered shops, of course, in Lagos, in Aba, in Kano, in Ondo State, in states across the country to provide sustainable power supply. So, and I've also been part of the NEP team, Nigeria Electrification Project, the solar home systems and the minigrid components, providing these electrification mechanisms to rural communities. And then, of course, when this opportunity came for the 5 million connections program, the new managing director, Engineer Ahmed Salihijo Ahmed, gave me the task of, being the technical lead on the REA side, obviously, supervised by the Ministry of Power, and then, overall headed by His Excellency, the Vice President, under the Economic Sustainability Plan. So this is just very brief. I know we don't have time, so I'm just going very, very brief. Thank you very much.
Lagos, just to mention again, our guests talking to us on Unpacking the Solar Naija program is the lead of Rural Electrification Agency. That's REA. So if you hear us say REA when we have this conversation, you know what we're referring to, the Rural Electrification Agency. Now, many Nigerians don't know much about this agency, the Rural Electrification Agency, or REA. And we know for sure that it was set up by Section 88 of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005. Tell us briefly about its mandates, the policy, and its objectives.
Right. Thank you very much. So, just like you rightly mentioned, in 2006, the REA was the board of the REA was set up. The main mission of the REA, that's the Rural Electrification Agency, is to provide access to reliable, efficient power supply to rural communities in Nigeria, as the name implies. However, because there's a lot of private sector focus, this mission is also in a way that it would allow a sort of return on investment for the private sector developer with an appropriate kind of tariff that would not be too unbearable to the rural communities. So that's basically, in terms of mission, what the REA is out there to achieve. In terms of mandate, obviously to sort of coordinate all rural electrification programs in the country. This is around grid extension, solar home systems, mini-grid, and other, sort of mechanisms to improve rural electrification, to also promote rural electrification in the country, and also to administer the Rural Electrification Fund. So the Rural Electrification Fund is it's a fund under the REA as well that also provides grants and promote, the scale up of, deployment of energy services in rural communities.
Okay, so thank you, Suleiman. And I mean, Collins, we talk a lot about REA on the show. I mean, almost every guest that comes on talks about engaging with the REA. So this is one of these government agencies that is really out there making a difference. And so thank you, Suleiman, and your boss Ahmed Salihijo is always out there also, and the Minister of Power. So it's amazing what you guys are doing. But now let's pivot specifically to the project that you're running,
Right.
which is what keeps you up at night. I know, because this is massive. So basically, I believe it was in September, it was announced as part of the federal government's sort of overall package to drive an economic transformation post-pandemic. And all of us in the industry were just so excited when we heard it, because we've never heard anything from that level, high level of government that was that ambitious and put solar energy and off-grid power so much at the center of Nigeria's development. And then you were appointed to run it. So tell us about the program. It's now called the Solar Naija program. And I mean, last week, Collins, they actually had a Zoom call with the vice president. He was on talking, to minigrid developers. I mean, these are relatively small companies. They don't usually get that kind of audience. So it's very, very, very high on the vice president's agenda. So Suleiman, walk us through the details of this program, please.
Yeah, absolutely, Wiebe, and thank you for even highlighting that. I mean, for the first time in this country, we're seeing at a very, very high level, at the highest level, if you like, off-grid electrification program being taken very, very seriously. I mean, for His Excellency, the Vice President, to convene a stakeholder workshop just to hear from companies, are the solutions the government is providing, are they adequate enough to drive rural electrification? It says a lot about the government's commitment. So the Solar Power Naija program, like you mentioned, in September 2020, the Central Bank of Nigeria issued a guideline for the program to connect 5 million new households and businesses, which is expected to power about 25 million people. Also, one key component of this program is expected to generate about 250,000 jobs, and also promote the local sort of value chain in manufacturing and assembly. So one of the key components here is the program is targeting, the local assembly and manufacturing, so that we can stop relying on importation of, components, and this would obviously drive job creation and the economy itself. So the program, it's a CBN facility. Just if you can just take a step back before going into details, as you know very well, Wiebe, there is an outcry about, okay, how do we get local financing, cheap local financing in the country that would enable companies, private sector companies, to scale up, their operations in Nigeria. So this is like a solution to that, request, that has been made. So CBN set aside 140 billion naira and invited
140 billion naira. That's a really big number. That's amazing.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
So and then open it up to qualified, local companies to participate and access concessionary debt financing to be able to either deploy solar home systems, build mini grids, or set up assembly or manufacturing plants in Nigeria. So in the guideline, very, very briefly, it divides the participation into two. You have the upstream companies, which are, if I say upstream, I'm referring to solar manufacturers and assembly companies. If I say downstream, I'm referring to solar home systems and mini grid companies. So, and in order to make this very easy, the CBN also further, put it in there that disbursement, especially on the downstream side, is going to be done directly by the CBN. That way, you are cutting all the sort of the conventional kind of request you would normally get from commercial banks. Not to say that the commercial banks are not supportive, they're extremely supportive and on board. And the stakeholder meeting we had with the VP last week, had commercial banks who are committed to supporting this program. So for if you are a solar home systems or mini-grid companies, you have access to loan by the CBN. You have, for a mini-grid company, you can access up to 2 billion naira for project financing.
Wow.
At 10%, at a 10% interest rate, at 7 years tenure, and 2 years moratorium, which is quite fantastic.
Unheard of, yeah.
Never.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's
Go ahead.
So, and then if you're a solar home systems company, you have access to up to 500 million naira working capital at 10% interest rate, 6 months moratorium, and then 5 years tenure. So this is very, very, important to note also that because the program is supporting local companies, it's targeting companies to have 70% local ownership. On the manufacturing side, this disbursement here is direct lending from a commercial bank, interest rate of 10% and 10 years tenure, with 2 years moratorium, and that's sort of how the program is structured. So the REA is the implementing agency headed by, obviously, the managing director, Ahmed Salih Ahmed, and supervised by the Ministry of Power. So we at the agency, we are running the implementation of the program. Applications have opened for companies that are going to apply, and we've started. We are very, very close to our first disbursement on this program. Thank you.
all right, great. I mean, I love the last thing you just said, but just to ask further, we know since the announcement of the program, that was in September 2020, absolutely. You've talked a bit about what's going on. We'd like to know the current implementation status of this project as of today, right now. What's the status of implementation?
So across the program, in terms of applications, we have received about 20 applications. Across both the upstream and the downstream.
And let me just cut in. I mean, these are very rigorous applications. So this is not something that anyone can just come off the street and be applying. Like
exactly.
It's very so. When he says 20, it doesn't mean that you should be expecting thousands of people to apply.
Absolutely.
It's very limited who can actually apply. So just to clarify. Okay. Absolutely.
And as Wiebe would also attest to, because this is a loan, it takes a lot of financial due diligence, to go through companies, submission to ensure that the numbers are making sense. The business is going to make profits to be able to pay back the loan. And one key thing that I forgot to mention is the fact that this program is connected to the Nigeria Electrification Project. And the Nigeria Electrification Project is a World Bank AFDB funded program that provide grants to companies. So the reason why it is linked together is the grant is also going to help you to pay back for your loan if you apply for it, which is obviously going to make the financial model make sense. So in terms of applications, yes, we've received applications. There are, I'm not going to mention names for confidentiality, but there are 2 companies that are in the forefront of disbursement, and I think we should be able to make an announcement within the next week for disbursement. However, we have like 4 applications that are also very promising and looking like we're going to head towards disbursement. We've also tried to include some sort of credit enhancement mechanisms in the program where we can invite state government to also participate, and also some organizations like NDPHC and NNPC to participate in the program to further de-risk the implementation of the program. So hopefully we can come back next week Monday, or Wiebe can come back next week Monday and say we have disbursed.
No, yeah, we'll be able to announce that. But just a little bit more. So most of our listeners are in Lagos, but there's obviously listeners all over Nigeria and actually around the world. So,
right.
what is the criteria for a company to be eligible for to access
Right.
this? Yeah, maybe just start with that, because I know you said they have to be, I think, accredited by the NEP. But let's
Right.
say you're a company that is doing solar, but you haven't heard about this yet. How do you do the NEP, and then how do you get into the CBN program? Just quickly, if you can.
Right. Right. Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier on, the NEP has various components, but what relates to this program is the solar home systems and the mini grid components. So, depending on what, if you are a company into any of this, obviously you can apply to the Nigeria Electrification Project. So, obviously, because this is a World Bank project, you need to have the technical and financial capacity to be able to participate. If you're a mini grid company, you need to demonstrate that you have done at least one mini grid, so that we are able to verify to see that yes, you have the technical capacity to do that. And also, if we want to also see that you have the capacity to raise finance, because the grant that the World Bank the NEP is providing to you only comes after you have completed the mini grid deployment or the solar home systems deployment, and we have successfully verified that, then we can go ahead. So you want to demonstrate that you have the capacity to do that. So for a mini grid company, the technical capacity, financial capacity, you also want to ensure that the company has is not blacklisted or anything in the World Bank or any donor programs. You want to be sure that you have the capacity in terms of manpower to be able to deliver these projects. And then when it comes to identifying the sites themselves, we want to be sure that you've identified sites that are viable. You have gone through all the ENS, that is environmental and social, assessment of those sites. You have a land that either is donated, well documented, or you buy it off, or leased, well documented, so that in the future we're not going to be facing, disputes around land and so on and so forth. So for solar home systems, one very crucial thing is also that you are deploying systems that have the quality assurance that is required. That is either IEC certified or Lighting Global. And these systems are smaller, systems like, for example, the Lumos one, the MTN one, or lower. And these are targeting communities that are not too densely populated, and maybe with lower income levels and lower consumption levels as well. So you need to also be able to demonstrate that you are able to deploy these systems at scale, so that the disbursement is seamless. So once you qualify under the NEP, it has a lot of, because of time we might not be able to exhaust the list. Once you qualify under the NEP, you can now go ahead and now apply for a loan that would help you to deploy the systems. Like I said, it is very important because the grant allows you to pay back for your loan. Thank you.
So Suleiman, one very quick follow-on question before Collins kicks us out. So if you're a listener who's like working in the state government or even local government in this region that's listening, or even anywhere in Nigeria, how do you get a mini grid to your community if you need it? So I guess you have to connect with a mini grid company, or what would you have to do from that side to make this happen for your community?
So we usually, two things can happen, right? Because we do a lot of capital projects, you can channel your request through your legislator.
Okay.
And that can be captured under the capital project, or you can maybe set up a committee and send us a letter directly to the REA, and tell us where your community is. If possible, put us a GPS coordinate, details about the community, whether it's completely off grid or has some supply. You can write to us. Because this is private sector led, we are going to start working on how to connect that community to a developer that is able to now build either a mini grid or provide a solar home systems, depending on what is best suited for that community.
Okay.
Well, that's where we end this conversation, really. And it's been really great to listen from you. And all the things you've said, I know that millions of Nigerians are listeners across Lagos and beyond because we're streaming live. So people are listening and I say, wow, this is amazing. And we're proud to be a part of this conversation because the truth is sometimes you never really know what the government is doing unless you listen to a program like Power Solutions and you have a guest like this to talk to us. And it's good to know that a lot is being done and there are opportunities, especially with regards to bringing solutions to the power problems in this country. And thank you very much, I guess, for speaking with us.
Yeah, so, and I think for listeners, if you want to follow what the Rural Electrification Agency is doing, they're very active on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, probably other platforms also. So follow them, again, REA, Rural Electrification Agency. And I think, as what Suleiman said, it's really in your hands, right? It's not them in the end that executes this.
Yeah.
So if you're an entrepreneur, please go through the process. Do the rigor, do the hard work, go through the process. And if you're a community, write to the REA and say, we need a mini grid, make it happen for us. And then Suleiman and his team are there to help. So Suleiman, thank you so much for coming on. This has been fantastic and very, very informative.
That's it.
Thank you very much, Wiebe, for having me. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great week.
The news coming up now. Eva on the iPhone, stand by to bring you Africa's most authentic news bulletin. And Wiebe and I, we're saying bye.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.